of Coffee Talk with Celestine Grace and my very loves and wonderful co-host, Mr. Bubba Grow and Mr. John Burgoyne. And tonight, our star, our guest, our beautiful soul that is present with us tonight is the incredible, ever beautiful, very talented Miss Marilyn Monroe. And I would like to play the song that she picked to represent how she felt about her lifetime here.
I wanna be loved by you, just you, nobody else but you. I wanna be loved by you alone. Me do. I wanna be kissed by you, just you, nobody else but you. I wanna be kissed by you alone.
All right, I want to know what poo-poo-pee-doo means.
Mm.
I know I don't know. Anyways, all right. So that's quite a beautiful song. Thank you, Marilyn, for that, and thanks for showing up. She is incredibly breathtakingly beautiful as she was in life. As I see her today, you're welcome. And she has her traditional trademark platinum blonde hair, beautiful red lips, and Marilyn's essence is absolute peace and love, and I feel very comfortably peaceful and wonderful in her presence. So she's ready, and she's sitting nice with this pretty dress, and she says, let's start the questions.
I have a question. Did she get raped when she was 8 years old?
Just go dive right in.
Unfortunately, yes.
Did that have something to do with how her, I guess, the change in motion of her becoming an actress later on in life, did that affect it? Like, did that cause her, I guess, to want to, like, strive to be more powerful as a female?
So the actress part for me was not that I wanted to strive to be powerful. It had absolutely nothing to do with that. The fact that I was placed for adoption, the fact that I was raped when I was a little girl, and it wasn't only one time, made me want to live in another place. And I could pretend. I could pretend that I was perfect and that I was loved and I had a big family around me and everybody protected me. I got really good at pretending. I had to cope. So it wasn't about power. It was about coping.
Well, I'm going to start off with my question, and it's always the first question I ask is, I want to know, what are you wearing?
Oh my gosh. She has on a black and white dress, right? So there's a white collar and the buttons are white against this black, I don't know. It's almost like a satin, but it's like a brushed satin. And that's not even what it is. Silk brocade. She just said, okay, thank you very much. And a white collar, white buttons going down, white belt, and the over the top lay is black, but it's black and white polka dot underneath. And there's tulle. It's black and white polka dot tulle underneath, and it's very stylish. She looks gorgeous.
Oh, of course, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I have another question. What was your true passion in life?
Do you know, a lot of people don't realize how intelligent Marilyn really was. That dumb blonde thing was a front. And she could act so well to make you believe that dumb blonde thing and worked it. She figured out how to work it in her benefit. So it may be quite surprising for many people to hear that her passion was reading and learning, and she liked space and she liked astronomy. And every chance she could get, she would read, and that was her passion uh, before she got lost, she said.
Very interesting. And when did you realize that you wanted to entertain people?
She said she found it as a way of getting attention, to entertain. So she learned it kind of early on in her 10, 11, 12, even so, and that she could pretend. And what she shows me is this little scene of being with, I don't know if it's a step parent or if it's a foster parent or if it's a home with a lot of children in it, but would you like some tea, ma'am? And she would pretend to pour the tea. And that's how she would garner attention, and knew she liked the attention and that people, and it just started because she knew how to pretend really well.
Yeah.
I have one. Excuse. Can I chime in?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to know what does Marilyn thinks it takes to become an accomplished and famous actress or actor?
A shit ton of luck. Brother,
Right.
she looks at me and she goes, brother, today, back then, in the future, it ain't what you know, it's who you know and who you do.
And who you blow? That
And
sounds
who
a little
you
better.
do. Right, that's exactly what she was implicating. She
Yeah.
says, she says, of course, there's a lot of talent that comes with all of that and goes through all of that, and it's the lucky few that don't have to worry about the casting couch.
Absolutely.
And she just reminded me and laughed. She said, "You guys forgot to clink cups."
Oh,
We sure did.
Coffee talk.
Cheers.
Cheers.
let's see.
I have a
I-
question.
Can I go again,
Yeah,
please?
you sure
You had
can.
time. Please.
We're so anxious. We haven't done
I have
this
a
in a
question.
while.
I know.
Marilyn,
We have missed you all. We've missed our audience. I have
Yes.
missed my Bubba and my John. I can't tell you how much. And I keep forgetting to tell you guys this. Hold on to that question, John. Everybody in my readings for the past few weeks and said, I love those two guys. They are so great. They're entertaining. And it's not just one, it's multiple people that say that. So everybody gives a shout out to you guys when
Oh,
they talk
thank
to
you.
me.
We
just so
love
you
them
know.
awesome. Awesome.
Oh, okay, John, go ahead.
Why was she always depressed?
She says her theme song says it all. She says, and she picked that one very purposefully to represent her life here in this incarnation. She said she always just wanted to be loved. And the deep hole that being given up
For adoption,
for,
having that.
for adoption, the deep hole that left never went away. It never truly healed. She didn't know how to heal it. It was that deep. And no matter what and who that she loved and followed, and she said, fucked. Didn't matter who it was. She
That's
couldn't
right.
find that deep connection because she says, I didn't have that with myself.
Wow. Well, and I guess whenever she was acting or whatever she was doing, did it ease all her everything that she was going through in her life and everything to try to be somebody else? Because I find myself, even now that I'm good with myself, I still find myself like when I'm playing music or anything, I can be somebody else, and it's what I want. I love it. It's an escape. Is that what she was going through?
She said that's exactly correct, and a very good way to put that, because there's so many heavy things, in all those movies and all those roles and all those scenes. she could pretend to be something and have something that she so desired for real in her own life. In some of those roles, obviously not all of them, but she lost, she says, I've lost myself in those roles. I got into character and it so took me away from everything.
Next one.
Wow.
What you got?
Okay, I have another one. It is.
Deep, deep. Tom's click.
When did you ever feel like a free spirit?
She said when she crossed over, she finally felt free. There was not ever a time in this human incarnation as Marilyn Monroe did she ever feel free. She, sad part about it, I just didn't know how to feel free. I didn't realize that I had that. I was always controlled. I was brought up in the system and controlled by the system, and then I was controlled by the producers and controlled by the money, and then, you know, so on and so forth.
I have another one. What was your best marriage and why?
Absolutely, without a doubt, Joe DiMaggio. Joe at all times was kind and sweet, and he loved me no matter how deeply my problems went. He loved me when I was the drunkest of drunk, and he loved me when I was the meanest sober bitch that you could ever imagine, because it was a struggle. It was a struggle for me. She's like, well, I sought attention anywhere I could get it. And at my first marriage, no. You know, but eventually, she's talking about, you know, when she was married, those men wanted to own her, like every part of her. And she says, I didn't know how to allow that to begin with. And secondly, I was too smart for that.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started to squeeze, I started to run a little farther away each time. First one, no. Following, yes.
I completely understand.
Did she reincarnate? Or does she plan to?
I feel like she's reincarnated. And she's a girl, a female again, but she's a little girl. And she just told me right now she's 3 years old. Born to the most loving people. And everything that she didn't have in the incarnation as Marilyn, that she so sought and desired. She's claimed for this incarnation as this little girl, and I got the name Abigail just now.
I was about to say, is she reincarnated as an 8-year-old named Riley? That's me and Bubba's youngest, because
Yeah.
she's blonde with blue eyes and wild. So I was like, gosh, she's got to be. I thought she was going to say it was Riley.
She says you better watch out for that one. She's sassy pants.
Oh yes, she is.
Yeah.
Oh, but she says she likes you, Riley. She's her kind of gal.
Of course.
You want to go?
Yes, I have this question that I have to ask, and then you never know, she might even bring Jackie in with her when I ask this question. Did you call Jacqueline Kennedy while she was the first lady to tell her about the affair you had with JFK?
No, actually, you've got that quite the wrong way. She called me.
That would be true. I think that would really happen. I don't
She
think she
called
would.
me. I would not have. Jack would have killed me or had me killed had I done that. And no, Jack didn't kill me. He did not kill me. He didn't send somebody. He didn't force any drugs into my system. But he would have killed me if I had called her. She's like, oh, that would not have been good. So no, she called me.
Wow, because she knew, or did she suspect?
She called me out. Uh, um, she's talking that she overheard him on the phone with Marilyn, and she
Okay.
said it was a rather racy conversation.
I have one. Why did she have affairs with JFK and his brother Roger?
She says, I am just, and I was just attracted at first to the adulation,
The
you know,
power?
and the power and the attention that it brought. And I was also attracted to their maleness. Um, okay, she wants to explain it like this: a man with that much power, she believed, would finally fill that need and that longing in her to be 100%. Because if they desire me, I'm perfect. Even though she felt unperfect, is what she just said, because of the adoption and the whole, other part of her contract.
Well, how does it feel being all in the same place now? I mean, do y'all communicate? What happens?
Well, she says, that's such a hard concept while we're here to understand that there's many of us all at the same time doing the same thing all at once, right? So that just blows our humanity is like, oh. She
Hmm.
says, but I'm speaking to her higher self, right? I'm speaking to the part of her that resides with source energy in heaven, that oversees and experiences all through. And she says, of course, as the little girl I came here, I have no knowledge of what went on. Why bother coming here if you're going to know and remember everything? So I'm glad for that. Um, and she shows me this orchestra. She's like orchestrating. She says, this is what it's like. So I stand up here and I just wave the wands, and all my lives and incarnations and all my pieces of me that's in galactic realms and everywhere else. I control all that in a sort. I've designed all that. So how does it feel? Fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
I have one. Why what was the issue that she had with the Fox executives? Apparently she had some type of falling out with the Fox executives towards the end, and what did she do to try to fix it? What was the issue, and what did she do to try to resolve it?
She says, I don't care what anybody else says. The issue was I wouldn't fuck them.
Way to
And I
go.
felt at that point I had enough power to
Yeah, tell them to go
dictate
fuck themselves.
to dictate that I could, you know, bed whoever I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. She says, I wouldn't do it. I was done. I figured out by that time. Plus, she said she was very much mired in her addictions at that point. And that's what they tried to use against her.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and she says, I was not only smarter than that, even though I was very clouded, but I wasn't going to allow it.
I have another question. What other talents did she have that no one would know besides acting and singing? What other something that we wouldn't really know about her? What other talents did she have?
Well, she's showing me that she's sewing.
Sewing. Okay.
And she said she learned it as a child in one of the foster homes, and
Hmm.
that it gave her great peace, and it gave her a way to work through her feelings. She carried that into adulthood until the addictions came through.
What what did I want to say?
Why did she attempt suicide? Did she not think her life was worth living?
A great deal of that was motivated by the drugs and alcohol. She just said, I was tired of wanting to be loved and not feeling loved by everybody. And I knew it was because I didn't love myself. I really truly did know that. I didn't know how to figure out how to love myself.
Did she have a fear of getting old?
You know what? She just looked at me, and she's so pretty, and she says, "Listen, you know how you have that feeling when you're young and you're like, I'm not going to live to an old age. I never felt like I was going to live to be a grandma or old or anything like that.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a premonition. The suicide attempts were motivated by me just not loving myself and not knowing how to find a way to love myself. But they got me every time, didn't they? I made them too much money. Not that last time. I
I
made
can remember.
sure. She just told me that last time. She goes, I just kept drinking. I really didn't want to commit suicide on purpose when it happened. So that was like the weirdest thing of all.
Unexpected.
No, she goes, well, at some point I did. In the back of my head, I did. But I took some pills and then I drank some. I couldn't remember if I took the pills, so I took some more. And then I drank some. Oh, I'm feeling pretty nauseous myself right now. Right. And then she looks at me and she goes, I could hold my liquor. You're a lightweight. You would never, ever have been able to deal. Because I'm
Yeah.
getting nauseous just by feeling what she was drinking and taking. And then, but she said one more time. So 3 times she went for the pill bottle and then downed it. And then she says, I finally felt like I was going to sleep and I knew I was going to pass out. She just looked at me and she's like, it wasn't the first, second, or third time. It wasn't even the 10th time I passed out like that. So she's taken me through it. She just laid down.
Hmm.
I feel the glass fall out of her hand. And then I feel the dark. And then I can't breathe. And she says it was at the point where she couldn't breathe that she knew she could relax and let go. And what she expected, she got. She expected Jesus to come and get her.
And she got it.
And she got it. They
I
made a
was,
pact before she got here. She
you
said he
read
told me he would get me.
you read me because I was gonna ask you who greeted her.
Yep. Jesus did. And she said I knew I was done.
I bet that was amazing.
She said it was the most beautiful moment of her entire non-life. Life, non-life, beginning, non-human life.
Yeah. I have a question. Who, being in the orphanage and all of that stuff, how were you discovered?
Well, she says they did go to school. My affinity for acting and wanting to be in the spotlight and draw attention. I feel like she left the orphanage or left where she was and took herself. Did you take yourself or did somebody find you and take you there? No, she's showing me she got on a bus. I see her packed her bag and went in a bus with dark hair.
And she was still Norma Jean at the time.
And she was still Norma Jean. She said they turned me into the brand.
Did they pick the name or did she pick the name?
They picked the name. And she said, I see her doing a lot of things. Like I see her being a waitress. And I'm feeling, because she's showing me that they noticed her beauty there.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she didn't love herself. Did she not think she was beautiful too? Or did she know she was beautiful but just didn't love herself?
Deep down, I did not feel that there was anything beautiful about me. How could there be anything beautiful? My own parents didn't want me.
Well, what gave her the
What I could do is pretend.
pretend? Yeah.
That's what gave her the confidence, her pretending.
So her pretending gave her the confidence to give acting a shot.
Absolutely. She said she really liked acting because it took her to a new place.
She didn't have to be
Correct.
herself.
And she didn't have to be herself. She could like who she was. She got applause. And that's where she found her out and her mental release and her way to cope.
Awesome.
But she never felt beautiful. Not when she was doing the movies, not when she was doing the magazines. And, I think there's a magazine out there where she's laying on her back and her one hand is up like this.
Yeah.
The way she made me feel is like she felt like she used the term beached whale. She felt like she felt like her hips were wide and her butt was big.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I guess we all think that we have so many flaws that we're our biggest. I mean, we judge ourselves.
Our own worst
Yeah.
enemy.
Yeah, and she said they all adored me and they dressed me up like a little doll and gave me the finest of everything, but I didn't see it. She says I liked all the dressing up though. Liked the jewels. Oh, and the long gloves. She said those were my favorites, the long gloves.
What did she think about Madonna, like kind of imitating her and Material Girl? Was it?
And with that, not only Madonna, but how does she feel about how she gives women the power?
She is very, very honored when Madonna did that Material Girl song. She says, imitation is the highest form of flattery. And she had the balls to do that in a time where nobody else did. I give her kudos for empowering herself and empowering women to do the same. And if she uses my image to do so, more power to her.
Yes, you have one of the biggest images to this day. I mean,
and she says it's still astounding to her humanness that her image is so iconic.
Well, we have some questions from Miss Paulette Robert. And the first one, you have been gone as Marilyn for quite a long time. Our time anyway. How is it for you in heaven as you have continued to be there? Are you alone a lot or with others? And what do you do?
So she says since there's no time in heaven, it doesn't feel that long. And it feels like eons at the same time. And there is no such thing, Paulette, as being alone in heaven. Because you are part of one, you're part of the whole. You could never possibly be alone. It's impossible for anyone to be alone. It's a human concept, and again, a mind-blowing one as the concept of time. What do? I inspire young women. I inspire intelligent young women to seek out a way to enhance their curiousness and their access to knowledge. And I do it in the poorest parts. I do it in the orphanages, and I do it in the prisons.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that's what that iconic image serves me. That's when that iconic image serves me and serves the whole the most. Is when they can look at me and say, she did it. I can do it.
It's awesome.
Another question: were you did you peacefully leave your body, or were you like startled?
No, I went to sleep. It was a great thing, actually. It couldn't have been any more peaceful. My body went. As I'm sure the autopsy reports revealed, my central nervous system was heavily depressed with the drugs and alcohol. So my body didn't have a problem leaving. My soul wanted to be home all along.
Did you have a life review whenever you got there, and what was it like?
She says, of course, absolutely, she had a life review. And she's showing me the 360, and she said the hurtful part was that she couldn't find a way to love herself. And she says, I looked on it without judgment, and it was what it was, but in the end, you understand that was the lesson that you asked for. I never intentionally hurt anybody. My addictions hurt me worse than anybody. It was not a life review that left me ashamed.
Well, and of course, Miss Paulette Roberts. That was all questions from her, and she wants to end it with, "Thank you for your great contribution. You are a great actress. You were brilliant."
Oh, Paulette, she blows you kisses. She's so pretty. And she goes, Paulette, thank you for remembering me.
Okay, and of course, now I know that Mr. Eric, our great friend, has a question.
Medus.
So, Mr. Eric Medus,
Med-
the floor is all yours, buddy.
Do you know, I am so familiar with Eric's energy, and I adore him. He is amazing, and one of my favorite spooks of all time, and a guide. And I have to tell you, and he's saucy. I mean, you all know he'll moon me, and I'll see, all kinds of things I don't want to see. So he's got no problem being sassy. He's blushing.
Whoa, wow. Mr. Eric blushes. I know
He's
he likes pretty
blushing.
women. He loves pretty women.
Oh, he said. He looks at me
Why
and
haven't
goes,
I been seeing you, Eric? I have not been seeing
he
him.
goes like this. He goes, she's got nice titties. Sorry,
Yeah.
Marilyn. And she just giggles. She goes, it's nice to be appreciated. I'm like, okay, Eric, what's your question, man? Quit looking like you're 13 years old with and you're all red. And hold on, I have to listen for a minute. Okay. He wants her to ask her if there's one thing that you could tell and say to all the adopted people out there in the world today that are struggling with the fact that their birth parents gave them up. What would you tell them? How would you advise them to deal with that and how to resolve that? And she's very thoughtful right now. And because she's like this, and she says, you know, I would tell them that the only way to truly, truly release the struggle is to be grateful. I'm going to tell you that I work with a lot of people and a lot of kids that have a really rough home life. They get beat, they don't have things to eat. They are constantly being suppressed, told they're stupid, they're ugly, and many other awful things. Because my parents gave me up, I wasn't subject to that. Because your parents gave you up wasn't a flaw in you. The fact of the matter is, they gave you up because they loved you enough to want something better. You may have ended up in foster care. You may have ended up in other situations. I get that. I was there. I want you all to know you can do it. You can make it. You're beautiful. You were loved, and that's why you were put up for adoption. And that's what I want adoptees to know. And Eric's still blushing over here, and before I start crying, because it's very sweet.
It's very.
And it was a sweet question. Give me a high five, man.
Yes, Eric, amazing
That was a good
question.
A good question. And we just want to thank Eric and his mama, Lisa Med, who says channeling Eric with a K.com. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the man, Eric, because I couldn't do this. He's over
Kudos,
there
Eric.
giving himself
Yes.
applause. That's it for today's edition of Coffee Talk with Celestine Grace and my wonderful co-hosts Bubba Girl and John Burgoyne, and our wonderful guest today, who is Marilyn Monroe, the most beautiful and gracious Marilyn. And we'd like to thank you all for watching tonight, and we missed you all. We've been gone for a little while, and I would like to tell everybody to please go on Facebook and go to Basics of Spirituality 101.
101.
And we do a lot there. And then the other thing, of course, is the YouTube page that's Coffee Talk with Celestine Grace. We did have a problem with one page got hijacked. So if you see two, like both of them, because you'd have to ask Holly which is the right one. I don't know.
And we love y'all. We miss y'all. It's glad to be back.
Yeah.
Holly, we love you. Hope you feel better.
Hugs and kisses for everybody.